Oh, what's up guys, me again. And maybe don't talk to me till I've had my Mario Galaxy 2 soundtrack for the day. Thanks. Oh, that's coffee.
So I don't know if this is obvious or not, but I love video games. There's just so much beauty involved in each element to make a game what it is. How can you look at Donkey Kong and tell me that's not art? Come on. To make a game's environment work and feel like what the developer is going for, you have to look at a few elements. How does the world look? How are the colors? Do the characters fit in with that world? But in my opinion, one of the most important things about making a game's vibe work is the music. For example, here's some gameplay of Zelda Ocarina of Time with two different sets of music. See, the first clip is an adventure, while the other just feels like a horror game, yet they're the exact same clip, just with different music. It's a huge factor to a game's design. Video game music is an art form and has brought some of the most iconic sounds your ears can ever listen to. Even if you don't play video games, you can at least recognize the Mario medley or the Zelda theme when it comes on. There's a certain beauty to the different types of genres. Horror, adventure, fantasy. You need music that's memorable because if you have a game with bad music, people might forget you exist. Think about it. Who's played Yoshi's Crafted World since it came out?
Nobody.
How many people have played Mario 64?
Like two? I don't know, more than nobody.
I mean, that's probably just because Mario 64 is generally considered to be a better game anyway, but the awesome soundtrack definitely worked out in its favor. Yoshi's Crafted World is a fine enough game, but it sounds like a toddler who was given a kazoo. But then there's the challenge of fitting music in different environments of the game to fit said environment, yet also have the same aesthetic as the rest of the game. It can be a difficult balance to maintain, especially with how much places different music is needed. There's title screen music, a song that needs to represent the game as a whole, a single song meant to combine every element of the game into one sole being. I know everything about this game's general vibe from this title screen alone. A title screen song is arguably the most important in my opinion. Then there's the first level song, a song to show that hey, things are pretty easy right now, but they won't be later, so you can just chill in these levels. Generally, this song is pretty happy, to make you feel relaxed and have fun. Make it fit the feeling of the grass stage or whatever your first level is. Not every first level has happy music though. For games like Metroid, I wouldn't really expect them to though. Boss fight music, there's a song that's basically the complete opposite of the first level. A little more fast paced, less relaxed, and more so
Holy shit, it's happening!
This is a song meant to show you that this is it. Everything you've done in the game has led up to this very moment. Every world, every boss, every quest, this is it. What else? There's settings music.
I like that one.
When video games originally started to get popular in the late 70s, music was stored on physical media such as records and cassette tapes. But the problem with this was it was expensive and they were heavily prone to damage with extensive use. So trying to put it on an arcade cabinet just wasn't very feasible.
It just won't fit.
Which is why in early arcade games you would rarely hear music, or if you did, it was just in short bursts. But over time, they discovered a more affordable way to add music to games through electrical impulses from computer code that would go into analog sound waves for an output on a speaker. So music started to become more common in games, but they still weren't fully fleshed out tracks, more so just simple little jingles. This spawned the genre known as Chiptunes and was the most popular genre for early video game music. And it was an easy, affordable way to put music in early arcade games, even if it was just one or two tracks looping together. The first game to ever put music in a game was Space Invaders. Again, nothing too special, just a looping little tune. It was a step in the right direction though. Over time, technology advanced, and developers were able to put more advanced music in games on the same level as movies and TV. It's always great when a soundtrack goes all out and giving it tunes that are great, even on the outside of the game. You knew a dev really gave a shit when they would just go full out with a soundtrack. And one of those shining examples of this, in my opinion, is Super Mario Galaxy. This man right here is a musical legend in the video game industry. Why? Because he made the Mario Galaxy soundtrack. Mojito Yokota, a music composer who works for Nintendo, mostly known for his work in games like Mario Galaxy or Mario 3D World. Originally for Mario Galaxy, he wanted to give the game a Latin American style of music, with things like steel pans, bongo drums, congas, etc. He was trying to replicate the sound of old science fiction movies with the soundtrack. Previous Mario games had featured music in that style, and Yokota composed 28 tracks like that for the game. Yoshiaki Koizumi was the game's director and designer, and he approved the composition, but when he brought it to Koji Kondo, the game's sound supervisor, he said it was, quote, no good.
Okay, so we worked several months on this soundtrack, and the director already approved it, so all you need to do is also approve it, because it sure would be a shame if you didn't. Nope.
When asked why he didn't like it, Kondo responded,
If somewhere in your mind you have an image that Mario is cute, please get rid of it. What the fuck?
Yokota was so furious by this rejection that he almost just straight up resigned from his job, but Kondo implied that he thought of Mario as a more cool character, and instructed him to try again. According to Yokota, he was under the impression that Mario was for children, which is why he tried creating cute music, because apparently Nintendo looked at this and said, yeah, my dad would play that. 3 months later, Yokota brought 3 different styles of music to Shigeru Miyamoto. One orchestral sound, one pop sound, and one that was a mix of both. Miyamoto ended up picking the orchestral sound because
it's f***ing space!
According to Satoru Iwata, initially they had some challenges trying to make music to fit in with the Mario universe, but over time it was just starting to feel natural. In my opinion, it was probably just due to the space setting, as Mario Galaxy was a little different from other Mario games. The game's soundtrack had 28 pieces of music that were all composed by a 50-person symphony orchestra. They were worried that the orchestral sound wouldn't fit the Mario setting, but stuck with it because they felt it made the scale of the game seem more epic. And holy shit were they right to stick with it, because this game's soundtrack is phenomenal. The orchestral sound is absolutely beautiful and fits the game so well. It's pretty cool how they were able to make music that kept a consistent orchestral tone, yet keep each piece unique for each course. The entirety of Mario Galaxy itself is beautiful, and the soundtrack is no exception. A genre of game that is in my opinion a little underrated is the dance rhythm genre, in the sense that it can be a bit more challenging and a little more pressure trying to make good music because the music is the game. Not to mention trying to blend the music with sound effects, and it can be quite a challenge, and I think that's something that kind of gets overlooked. Harmonite is a criminally underrated 3DS eShop game that does rhythm platforming insanely well. Like, they had to design levels around the soundtrack and then design the soundtrack around the levels, essentially intertwining the two together, and in the end, they not only made music on beat with the level, but they just made generally good music. But do you know what series has the best theme songs ever that nobody ever talks about? I always loved the theme songs they made for the GTA series. The main soundtrack is nothing that special in my opinion, and mainly because they're just licensed songs from already existing sources. It's really fun to listen to Michael Jackson while driving around in the 80s. I'm not complaining, but in terms of actual originals, it's some good stuff. My favorites are the San Andreas theme, GTA 4 and 5, but 3 and Vice Cities are awesome. They all do such a good job in making music to fit whatever theme the game has, but they're still totally GTA songs. However, the most notable game with such an amazing soundtrack in recent years is Persona 5. This game is a masterpiece. The visuals are awesome, the storyline is compelling, it's a turn-based RPG that actually has compelling gameplay, and it has awesome music. And you know something else? I'm not into anime or turn-based RPGs, so when I say Persona 5 is a goddamn masterpiece, you better believe it's a goddamn masterpiece. The soundtrack for this game is absolutely phenomenal. The soundtrack was produced by Shoji Meguro. Oh, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. He also helped with other stuff related to the general sound design. The devs gave him full creative freedom when designing the soundtrack, and around 80% of the music in the game was made by him. Another thing that makes this game's soundtrack so unique to other games is that there's actual lyrics. Most games' music is generally just instrumentals, and there's nothing wrong with that. Instrumentals fit better for most games anyway. Also, not like Persona 5 is the only game that has ever had lyrics in their music, but it's not something you see very often. The game's soundtrack has 7 tracks sang by jazz and soul singer named Lin Inaizumi. Oh my god, I really hope I'm not mispronouncing these names. And it was their first performance in a video game. There was one part where she had to perform a rap segment for the song Wake Up, Get Out There, which was obviously not what she usually did, but she made it work really well. The whole soundtrack was just made to have a jazzy feeling to fit the game mood, and I love it so much.
Okay guys, so I think I had I think I had a bit too much soundtrack to start. Like 3 glasses to be exact. And I think I'm having a bit of a caffeine buzz, so I think I'm gonna run like across the country to New York or something. Bye. Hey, there's ways to relieve energy inside too.